If your home sat on the market and didn't sell, it's easy to feel like the market just wasn't there. Maybe buyers got weird or the rates killed it, or maybe your agent didn't try hard enough. But here's the reality. There are only 4 variables we can even influence in the sale of a home. That's it. So if a listing fails to sell, it's because it missed the mark on one or more of these 4 things. I'm Stu Galvis and I sell houses, and in this video, I'm going to break down the only 4 reasons listings fail to sell and what to do about each one. The 4 controllable variables are the price at which you list it, the story you tell and how you get that story in front of the right buyers, the buyer experience when they tour the home, and the communication feedback loop from day 1 until it's sold. Everything else, rates, headlines, the market, it matters, but it's not controllable. These 4 are. And the good news is, if you get these right, you create the best possible outcome in any market. So let's break down the 4 reasons listings fail and how to avoid them one by one. And let's start with the most common one, the list price. Here's the mindset shift. Price is not a number. Price is positioning. It's half of your marketing strategy and nothing more. And when you choose a list price, you're telling the market, hey, this home belongs in this lane competing with these other options for these buyers. And buyers don't evaluate price in a vacuum. They evaluate value compared to their other options based on 3 things: location, amenities, and condition. Location is the one thing you can't change. It's the dirt, the neighborhood, the commute, the lifestyle. Amenities are what support how someone wants to live: layout, bedrooms, square footage, all of it. Can be changed, but not easily. Condition is how move-in ready it feels: finishes, maintenance, cleanliness, and whether it feels like a project. If the list price is higher than the value buyers see relative to the competition, it just makes your competition look more valuable, and home buyers buy value. Said a different way, there are only 2 ways to position a home with regard to price. You either price it to sell, or you price it to sell your competition. And here's the part that stings. Overpricing doesn't just reduce your odds of selling. When you finally do sell, it often sells for far less than it would have had you been positioned correctly from day 1. That's because the buyer who's most likely to see value in your home is already out there looking. And the first weekend is when your listing has maximum attention, urgency, and usually maximum value. And here's a quick reality check. If you don't have enough showings, you're out of the ballpark. If you've got showings but no offers, that's the market telling you, hey, you're close, but no cigar. Either way, it's time to make an adjustment. The second reason your listing might fail is if your story is ineffective. One of the best lessons I learned early in my career is that selling is storytelling, and marketing is just telling the right story and getting it in front of the right people. Most agents think marketing means, hey, I put it on the MLS, I put it on Zillow, I'm paying for ads, we're good. But where you place the story, what we call distribution, is now basically normalized thanks to the internet. The difference is the quality of the story itself. A listing story has 3 parts: the criteria, think data fields, the imagery, and the narrative description. Criteria is the unsexy part, but it's critical because it's how both algorithms and humans search for homes. If the criteria is wrong with regard to square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, even the location of the map pin, your best buyers may never see your home. If you're not showing up in searches, you're invisible. Once buyers find it, they go straight to the next piece, the imagery. And this is the most important part of the story. Buyers fall in love with a home on their screen before they ever go see it in person. High-quality imagery creates an emotional connection, and it sets expectations. Bad photos don't just look bad, they actually make buyers assume that your home is worse than it is, so the right buyer may never even come see it in person. And it's not just the quality of the photography, it's also the subject matter. If the home isn't prepped well before photos are taken, the imagery can't do its job. And last is the narrative description. And you've got about 200 to 250 words to do 3 things. Connect the dots on what they're seeing in the imagery, differentiate the home from the competition, and help buyers imagine their life there. This is where fluff kills you. If the description is generic, if you're just repeating features that people can already see in the criteria and photos, or if it oversells the home, buyers either don't show up or they show up with expectations that the home doesn't meet, and disappointed buyers will not buy your home. Which leads us to the third reason listings fail. The in-person showing experience does not at least meet or exceed the expectations created by the marketing. In a normal market, buyers usually choose a home after seeing a handful. So the question is simple. When they tour yours, does it feel like the best value compared to their other options? A great showing experience is built, and it comes down to preparation, cleaning, staging, and in-home marketing. Preparation is one of the most poorly executed steps in the entire process, and it's actually one of the very biggest determiners of what a buyer is ultimately willing to pay for your place. The goal here is simple. Your home needs to feel cared for. Done right, prep is one of the strongest ROI moves, not because buyers love new paint or fresh mulch, but because it removes concerns, friction, and objections. Once the prep is done, Professional cleaning is not optional. If buyers see dirty, they stop seeing value. This is a major friction point. If the home isn't in professionally clean condition for every single showing, you're leaving money on the table and dragging out your timeline. After the home's prepped and cleaned, one of the highest ROI moves is staging. And this can either be done with your furniture and decor or with rentals. But it's not about fancy furniture. It's about helping buyers understand how to live in a space. Staging defines spaces, improves flow, and makes the home feel more functional and more valuable because buyers only pay for spaces they understand how to use. And once the rest is dialed, the missing piece almost everyone skips is the in-home marketing. It's showing guides and feature callouts that point out what buyers might miss. Upgrades, mechanicals, hidden storage, views, energy features, anything that adds value and sets your home apart from the competition. Because if buyers don't understand why your home is better than the competition, they'll choose the competition. And that's it for the 3 variables we can influence in a home sale that relate to the property itself, but there's one more. And that 4th variable isn't actually related to the home, but it's the most important part of the marketing and sale process, yet it's most often the one that falls short. Put simply, ineffective communication. More completely, a breakdown in the continuous feedback loop of communication. When I got started in 2005, one of my mentors told me that brokers make suggestions, clients make decisions. What he meant was, it's the broker's job to help clients make effective decisions based on what the market's actually telling us. Ineffective communication doesn't always look like a listing problem, but it's often the reason sellers make bad decisions early and the listing never course corrects. Here's what the feedback loop looks like from day one. First, it starts with the broker advising the seller on strategies so the seller can make good decisions on price and prep. And that way, buyers have the right experience when they tour the home, which we've already discussed is so important. Then, once the property's live, communication has to happen between the broker and any buyer leads so that broker can connect the dots between their lifestyle wants and needs and how the home is a great fit. Next, when agents start showing it, communication has to happen between the listing broker and buyer's agents to make sure the right buyers come through and make sure those agents are well taught how to position the home and sell it to their clients. Finally, after the showings, the most important step is collecting real-time voice-to-voice feedback so we can generate more offers, better offers, and identify immediately what course corrections need to be made if we're off the mark. Then we're right back to the beginning of the loop, advising the seller on what the market's communicating and how to adjust fast. Because if you're not getting real-time, completely honest and accurate voice-to-voice feedback, you're honestly just guessing. And guessing is really, really expensive. You don't need 50 showings and 0 offers. You need the right showings to the right buyers with the right expectations and the ability to course correct the moment you get a signal that your strategy is off with regard to price, the story, or the showing experience. And that's it. Those are the only 4 reasons listings fail to sell. Wrong price, wrong story, wrong buyer experience, or a breakdown in communication. If your listing expired or if your home's just been sitting on the market longer than it should, don't freak out. It's fixable. Just look at the evidence, showings, feedback, online engagement, competing inventory, and pinpoint exactly where the market's saying, hey, you're out of alignment. And if you or anybody you know is having a tough time selling a property, share this video and feel free to reach out with the link in the description below. I'm more than happy to give you a quick expired listing audit to identify exactly what caused it to fail last time and specifically what it's going to take to sell the next time around. No pressure, no sales pitch. I'm Stu Galvis and I sell houses. Smart strategy, no hype.